Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new, my name is Rachel and I share what my family had for dinner. We're starting off this video on Labor Day Monday with some sheet pan caramel apple bites and some beer and cheese brats, which I will link in the description box because this is in a separate video. But I added it to the video just to share with you what our week was like. The next night was Tuesday and it was our first day back to work, so needed something really quick. And after all the cooking I did over the weekend, I was not feeling like being in the kitchen for long. So breakfast for dinner sounded like a quick way to get dinner on the table. We had a really bad storm this day also, so I did get drenched and cold. And breakfast sounded like a quick way to get a hot meal made fast. So I just whipped up some cheesy scrambled eggs, some corned beef hash, and some sausage patties, and we had some toast. I always feel like in our house we can't go wrong with breakfast when we're out of ideas, out of time, or trying to save a buck. And there are so many different ways that you can make breakfast food. And this was my little plate. I made sure that I piled it high. On Wednesday, I made this hash brown and sausage casserole. Bill requested that I make this again. If you saw my freezer meal video, you will have seen this recipe as one of the meals that I made. But he liked it and he asked me to make it again, so now I'm making the skillet version of it. And all I was doing was adding a little bit of oil to a cast iron skillet. I browned up my potatoes and added some frozen broccoli and just cooked that until it was thawed out basically and kind of browned up. I added a can of cream of mushroom soup. And then I added a can of the Rico's nacho cheese. I think I came up with this recipe one time when I was out of cheese and just decided to use a can of this cheese sauce instead, just to give it that cheese flavor, and we liked it this way, so we just adapted it and just started making it this way. And now this is like make do creation that has become a regular. I do like the nacho cheese taste in this dish, and you don't have to add so many other ingredients like extra spices or whatever to make it have a good flavor. This is really simple. It was a use what you have kind of meal, and now it's just been something that my family likes and have actually requested. So then I just added some cut up smoked sausage. This is about 1.5 pounds of sausage. This is a pretty big cast iron skillet, so I was able to fit quite a bit of sausage in there. And so then for the last step, I just added some Ritz crackers crushed up on top, just for a little something extra. And then once I get as many Ritz crackers on top as I want, I just popped it in the oven and baked it until everything was nice and bubbly. When I could see that cream of mushroom soup kind of peeking up and bubbling up through the crackers, then I knew it was heated through. So while the hash brown casserole is in the oven, I just put together some sugar-free Cool Whip and some crushed and drained pineapple for something to go with it. That had a little sweet to it. I was craving something sweet this day, and I didn't want to go on full cake or donut mode, so this was a lighter option for me, and this is how that hash brown casserole turned out. The next night, I was cutting up some tomatoes from our garden because we have so many that are ripe right now. And so we're eating a lot of tomatoes on the side of our dishes. And on this night, I was pretty thankful for that, to have something that was fresh to go with a meal that was mostly processed food, not by choice, but just by necessity. On this night, we had made it over the hump. It was now Thursday, but I was feeling a little whooped. So I was leaning on something that I knew we had in the freezer that I knew would be easy. And I had picked up this Cheeto macaroni and cheese from the store. I thought it looked interesting and the kids would like it. But Walmart had substituted these breaded chicken tenders in place of boneless, skinless chicken tenderloins. Go figure. But anyway, that's what I made for the night, and just opened up a couple of cans of green beans and added some Parmesan cheese to them. And this was the chicken tenders when they came out of the oven, or maybe I put them in the air fryer. Yeah, it was the air fryer. And this was my plate with some mustard for those chicken tenders. It was an okay meal. I would not buy the macaroni and cheese again. I just did not care for the noodles. It was very orange macaroni, if that tells you anything. Pretty unnatural. But, you know, my green beans were good, and so were the tomatoes. The following day was Friday, and I was off work, something I'm not used to, but I decided it's something that I will embrace and find things to do. I do enjoy my new job, and I am thinking that maybe less hours is a good thing. And so on this date, I decided that I was going to cook up 10 pounds of potatoes in my Instant Pot. So I washed them and cut off any bad spots. And here I am trying to put as many of that 10-pound bag of potatoes into my Instant Pot as I can fit. I am pretty short and my counters are pretty high. And if you have an Instant Pot, you pretty much know how hard it is to see into the pot once you have it up on the counter. So here I am trying. I couldn't get them all in. I missed two. Maybe if I cut them up or something, but I didn't sweat it. So after they cooked in the Instant Pot, I peeled some of those potatoes, and yeah, they were hot. Not kidding. But obviously, but they came off pretty easy if you could stand to grab them. And I'm not saying you should. I don't want anybody to get burned, but I have a tendency to touch hot things. But anyway, that was me trying several different methods to get these peels off while they were hot. And I did let some cool, and I didn't show it, but I did let some cool and then try to take the peels off, and the potatoes get really gummy when you do it that way. So I don't know. I wasn't sure about this. I didn't know what I was doing. But if you know, let me know. I did like this way of doing the potatoes. I don't like to peel raw potatoes, and especially 10 pounds of potatoes. So this was an easier way for me. I think at some point I realized that if I just squeeze or cut the potato peel open and just kind of squeeze the potato out, it came out much easier, and I did that for most of them. And then for some of it, I just kind of left some of the peel in it. It wouldn't bother us. But anyway, getting to the point, I was making 10 pounds of potatoes to prep for the week or weekend, whatever, just to have them on hand and have it cooked up. Figuring, you know, I had all the extra time that day that I could mess around with some meal prep. And so I was making some mashed potatoes, mostly is what I had in mind, because I planned to make shepherd's pie one day. And for dinner that night, we were having baked potatoes. So I set some of the potatoes aside for baked potatoes, and then I put some in the bowl, and wow, look at all these potatoes. So what do you do with that many potatoes? I made potato salad. So here I am putting some mayonnaise and relish and some onions and some seasonings in the bowl. This is how I make my potato salad. I've never been one to make potato salad very often. It never was my job at the picnics or the potlucks. It's just not something I did or knew how to do. And so over time and with some trial and error, I realized it works better just for me if I make the dressing in the bowl first and then add the potatoes. So you saw that I dumped some paprika in there. We like a lot of paprika. We don't usually put that much in it, but we went with it. So it gave my sauce kind of this reddish tint, and it was fine. I just added more mayo and more mustard and more relish until it was the way I wanted it. And so with these potatoes, I just started adding the ones that were already chunked up and just kind of cut up the ones that were still whole. And this was fine because I do like my potato salad to be a little mashed. And when I make it on the stove and boil my potatoes, I will take some and mash them up and put them in my potato salad. And basically my dressing was just dill relish, mayonnaise, mustard, salt, pepper, and paprika. And that's it. And so then I just mixed it all together. Oh, and I had a half of a chopped up onion that I put in the sauce first also. So I just mixed that all up. And then at the very end, because I didn't plan on making potato salad, I had 3 eggs boiling on the stove at this time. And at the end, I just cut them up and put that on top of my potato salad before I put the lid on, and then put it in the fridge to chill until we were going to use it. And there next to it, you see I have my mashed potatoes, just milk, butter, salt, and pepper. And then in the back are my baked potatoes for that night's meal. And this is still Friday, so moving on to the what's for dinner part of this section of video, I'm just putting 2 cans of corn in a skillet. 1 can is drained and 1 can is not, and then I drizzled some honey on top and added some butter. I did season with some salt and pepper, and that was it. In a separate bowl, I just mixed together some flour and some panko, and I'm adding some Nature Seasons seasoning. So I believe that is garlic, salt, and pepper, maybe some other stuff, I'm not sure, and some cayenne pepper. I just mixed that all together, and I made my milk and egg bowl with more seasoning in that. I like to season every step of the way when I'm making something in breading so that you get flavor through and through. And so these are ribeye pork chops that I am cooking right here. I'm just dipping in the egg mixture and then into the flour mixture and then into some hot oil. I just give them a wiggle to make sure they're not sticking to the bottom of the pan, and then when they are nice and golden brown, I flip them over. I popped those baked potatoes that I made earlier in the day back in the air fryer to crisp them back up, and just smashed it and added some sour cream and butter and salt and pepper to mine. And of course, we're having some sliced Roma tomatoes from our garden on the side, as well as that corn with the honey and butter. And here is my finished plate with the breaded pork chop added. This was my favorite meal of the week. I don't know why, it just hit the spot. And to finish up this week's video, I am making one of my husband's favorites, shepherd's pie, and the whole reason that I prepped 10 pounds of potatoes in the beginning of the week. I'm also throwing these popcorn chicken thingies into the air fryer because I don't like shepherd's pie, so I'm making something different for myself this time. To get the shepherd's pie part started, I am just browning up some ground extra lean burger, and I added some frozen peas and carrots as well as some dried onions, 2 gravy packets. These are brown gravy packets, and then I'm adding 2 of the envelopes full of water to the pan and just going to cook this until it starts to bubble and thicken up. I do not have to drain this because I used extra lean burger, like I said, so that there isn't any grease in it, and I appreciated that because I was just kind of looking for the easy way. I usually try to look for the easy way when I'm cooking. And so to move on to what I'm doing for this meal is I am making shepherd's pie for everyone that likes it. I am probably the only one that doesn't in this house. And then to go on that, I'm going to, to go with that, I'm making a version of something that I might like. I was kind of thinking of those KFC bowls that have the chicken, the potatoes, the mashed potatoes, gravy, and corn, but I'm just doing it a way that sounds good to me. I can't remember how theirs is put together, but I just put the mashed potatoes on the bottom for mine, and then the gravy, some cream style corn, and the chicken and cheese on top of that. So to put together the shepherd's pie, it's really easy at this point because I prep my potatoes ahead of time. I'm just adding that meat filling to a baking dish. I'm making 2 of these because I have so much going on in this skillet right here, and not everybody is eating it, of course. So I figured I would make one for now and then one for the freezer. So I'm just spreading that mixture around in the pan, and then I'll add the mashed potatoes on top. In the back, you see I have 3 smaller pans of mashed potatoes, and I'm just adding some chicken gravy that I made from chicken gravy packets to them. I had 3 started and then realized that Dawson wasn't even home. He went to work, and I didn't realize that he had left. So I end up taking that one out and adding those potatoes to the second shepherd's pie. So when you see one of them disappear, that's why. And this really was easy to put together because I made the potatoes ahead of time. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have even bothered. I think making mashed potatoes can be kind of time consuming sometimes, but I wanted to make sure that I had real mashed potatoes because if you've been watching my videos lately, you know I've relied heavily on instant mashed potatoes all of last week, and I didn't want to do that again. The last step before going into the oven was adding some shredded cheese to the top of the shepherd's pie. And so the next step after adding the gravy to the potatoes is putting the corn on, and I used cream style corn just to make sure that it was nice and gravy-ish. And these popcorn chickens just came out of the air fryer, so I'm adding those on top of the corn layer. And Picky Cameron does not really like much of anything, so his pan just has mashed potatoes and gravy, and he ate his popcorn chicken plain on the side. After getting the chicken bites arranged in the pan, I just put some shredded cheese on top, and then this will go into the air fryer until it heats all the way through and the cheese is melted. And this was what we got when we took it out of the air fryer. I did put it in for about 15 to 20 minutes, I believe. And here's the shepherd's pie. I also cooked this in the air fryer. It was just a really quick way to get it all cooked up and heated through without turning on the big oven. I was told this shepherd's pie was delicious, and I will take their word on it. I don't know, it's just a texture thing for me. It's not that I hate shepherd's pie, it just isn't my thing. I did like the chicken bowls, and I would make them again. They were really surprisingly good. And that's the last meal in this week's What's for Dinner. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, that you'll come back next week to see what my family had for dinner and other future videos. If you enjoyed this kind of content, please hit the subscribe button. Bye for now.